Going back to what I was saying earlier, chapter 9 is, to me, I feel like this is a filler chapter. It is not something as super important unless these circumstances apply to you. So, what time and billing really does is it actually allows you to link up income and expenses. So, again, we're dealing with them and using those kind of things to either reimburse or to charge somebody for. So normally this you wouldn't actually technically use this unless your company has the allows reimbursable expenses such as travel, right? If you are traveling right out of state, or you have to travel to go to your work or go to off-site locations, then yes, that could be an option where you can offer your employees that you can reimburse them, but they have to pay for it in advance, and then you get et cetera, et cetera. So you can do that as well. That's one example that you can use this for that. Other things that we're going to be looking at is passing along expenses. So, for example, if you have a third party vendor or an independent contractor, you can pay them for advance, and what that happens is you actually end up billing the customer to pay not only them but to also pay you as well. So that is one thing that you can do, and that's what's cool about QuickBooks is it allows you to be able to take a transaction and actually classify them or assign them to people. Okay, now it's only applied for certain things such as you know when it comes to billing, or when it comes to a for invoices. Okay, not too much for anything other than that. But that's what pretty much time and billing does, is we're looking at how to utilize the reimbursable expenses little window, which we'll get to take a look about in a few seconds or a few minutes when we actually do the problem. But that's pretty much what this is. I feel that this is a filler piece of information just because, again, it's not really going to apply to every single company. But it's definitely something I have to teach you, so I'm just going to go ahead and go for it. But I guess one aspect that you can use the time for is, of course, if you are using it to keep track of your own time, whether it's for your employees and et cetera, et cetera. So that's only the small portion that actually really matters in this section, but I'm going to go ahead and go over it all with you. So first off, let's talk about what a reimbursable item or expense is. So again, we are going to be utilizing time and billing portable files. So make sure you have that open. So what this really is again, is that you're linking your expenses and you're assigning them to specific customers. So this is where the whole customer slash job little field that you fill in all the time, and you place either a person's name in there. That's where this is going to come relevant and come into play. It's just another way to organize your expenses again and classify them based on who these expenses belong to. Okay? So it's going to be completely separate. Remember, class is basically based on something else. It's not based on a person. It's based on a location, a profit center, right? It's based off of a thing rather than a person. Where customer slash jobs is going to be classifying them for people. So here are things that you can do. Again, you can do other current assets. So if you are doing contracts, this is very important that you assign it to a specific person. Okay. So that's exactly why we're going to be talking about when we have third party vendors, or if we utilize like another source, we can tag them, or we can assign them to a specific person. And so then, yes, so contracts fall under the whole other current assets. You can also do it for cost of goods sold. When you're trying to personally purchase something for a customer and you're going to organize the expense as a cost of goods sold, there you go. Okay, and for any other expenses too, you can classify them however it is. Okay, and other expenses. Okay. So for this particular example, they've already created an account called reimbursable expenses. So this is what's going to exist, and this is the example we're going to be utilizing in Academy Photography. Now, if you plan to use this and you are the accountant, you may seek some other expense. You could reuse the same that they've used, either reimbursable expense, or it could be some kind of other expense that you want to create. All right, ultimately, for this particular example, we are utilizing in reimbursable expenses. Okay. Now, when you actually utilize one of these items, what's going to happen is when you assign it to a specific person, you're going to get this little window here on the page or on the form that says, are you going to bill them? And that's usually where you have to check mark it. So how they understand this is like, if there's a certain job that's being particularly done and it acquires or requires someone else to complete the task, you can link this transaction to them and pass the bill along. So when the customer pays you, it actually pays the person, and then whatever profits you get to keep, you get to keep. Okay? So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look here. Now, there's a little comment here saying that you cannot actually use the reimbursable for any for any type of income account type. So this is actually really confusing because it shows us in one of the examples that we actually change and modify one of our expenses to become an income. So yes, I have no idea how to explain this section right here. But for most common things, as you would actually use it more commonly for something that you're expensing for. Okay. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So firstly, we're going to talk about is reimbursable expenses. So here's the example that they want us to complete. So here, we're going to first write a check out. Okay, so this is what we're going to be doing. So in this kind of scenario, we are actually paying someone for a service. Okay, when we pay them for a service, so we're paying them in advance. And how we use the reimbursable tab is that we're going to take that let me try to explain this again. So we're going to write a check out to a specific person, right? We're paying something in advance for a service that isn't particularly for us, but it's for our customer, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to take that that check that we've written out, and we're going to bill our customer for that service, and we're going to mark it up because, of course, if they're going to go through us or we have to pay for a cost for doing something for a customer, we can have the ability to mark up our value. So then not only is it covering the cost, it's also covering, a convenience charge, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at this one. So for example, we're going to go ahead and write a nice check out to this third-party vendor. Okay, so let's go ahead and write this check. Okay, so I'm here at my home page. I click the write a checks window. So there it is. And this one is going to be, I think it's Express Delivery Services. Okay. And I believe we actually are going to, I believe this is on the 3rd of February. February 3rd. Okay, and that's not the check number doesn't matter, but we're gonna go ahead and go down here and we're going to fill in a reimbursable expense. Okay, so that's the first account that we're going to recognize is we are going to be using a reimbursable expense account. Okay, here it is, reimbursable expense. Okay, and then the amount is going to be for $20. Okay, so once we've done that, now what is the memo going to be? In this case, I'm going to go ahead and write this is a document delivery. And I'm going to say for Miranda's Corner. Or I'm sorry, Miranda's.
Yeah, Miranda's Corner.
Okay, perfect. It is Miranda's Corner. Perfect. Okay, so for Miranda's Corner. Now, that's just my memo. Okay, what I have to do here is I'm going to go down to my bottom of my form and drag this so you guys can see it. We here have this section called customer/jobs. Now, this particular service that I paid for in advance is for a particular person. I'm doing this because I need to send a documentation to Miranda's Corner. And by doing that, I'm going to go ahead and have it have this express delivery do it for me. But I'm paying a third-party vendor. They have nothing to do with us. This is just how I'm going to send my stuff over. So I'm going to assign this and say that this is part of Miranda's bill. And I'm going to bill her for this particular expense that I'm incurring because I'm sending documentations that she needs to sign. And this is what, excuse me, this is what I'm going to tack on the bill for her. Okay? The minute I type in Miranda's Corner, I have this little billable option or check mark. This means I'm going to, when the next time I bill Miss Miranda's Corner, it's going to automatically pop up that I have an expense that's associated to pass on this bill for Miss Miranda to pay for it instead of me. But what I'm doing is I'm paying it in advance, and I'm having Miranda reimburse me for it. So there you go. I'm going to say yes, it is definitely going to be reimbursable. Class, is there a class for this, for this one?
Walnut.
Okay, so it's for Walnut Creek. Walnut Creek. Perfect. All right, so everything looks good. And I might go ahead and save and close. All right. And the next thing it says that now that we've already sent the contract over, now we have to actually go bill Miss Miranda Corner. And how we're going to bill her is going to be according from that expense that we just incurred. So here I'm going to open up my invoice, and I'm going to go ahead and type in Miranda's Corner. All right, she's a customer of ours. And once I do that, QuickBooks is going to notify me, hey, you have some associated bills or expenses that are linked to this person. Would you like to choose, or would you like to select the outstanding bills for this particular person? And I say yes, because in this case, I'm charging her for the delivery. I'm sending her an invoice on the delivery. So here's the here's the little billable expense tab that we're looking at here. There are 4 categories, the little reimbursable window. That's what it's called. There are 4 tabs that are in here. Okay, we have one for time, which we'll talk about later on. We have expenses, which we just tagged on to to Miranda's Corner. We have items. Okay. Oh, hold on. Let me see. We have time. This one. Okay, items is last. We have mileage. Okay, so again, when you're reimbursing your customers or your employees for mileage, okay, if they have to travel to go to work or if they have to travel to an off-site location, and you offer that you can reimburse them, then they can send you as many items as it is to help them to reimburse you for it, okay, or for you to reimburse them for it, okay. And then also we have items here. Items is anything that we're going to be looking at. So we're going to look at two-sided items and see how that comes into play. But for now, these are the sections that we're looking at. And our first one that we're looking at is going to be particularly for the expense tab. Okay, so here I recognize that I'm supposed to be I have this express delivery services, right? The $20 charge. And I'm going to go ahead and check mark this. Now, because I'm billing my customer, I get the freedom to go ahead and mark up my price value. Since it cost me $20, I got to think about, well, it also cost me, money to go call them, right? It cost me money to look up this express delivery services, It's not like this person just came out of nowhere. There's labor that goes into it. And how I'm going to say is I'm going to mark up my price for 20%. So I'm going to receive a 20% profit off of this $20 that I've already spent in the first place. Okay? So now that I have that, I have it defaulted as 20%, so I don't need to do anything there. Now, you can choose a solid number if you'd like. If it's a flat fee, you can go ahead and enter in a number. But if it's a percentage, then go ahead and put a percentage. Usually, markup values, they're anywhere from 20 to 30%. I don't think it's gone any higher as far as my knowledge. But usually 20 or 30% usually is correct. And what account you're going to associate this is going to be the markup account. Markup expense or expense markup. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and click this. All right. Now that we have our expense, our information here, the next thing that you want to do is you want to also come down here and say that you want to print the selected time and details in regards to what this is. So you're actually going to let your customer know that you charged them the 20% markup. Okay. Here we get to look at our how much the markup's going to be for. So as you can see, it was originally $20 plus the markup is going to be for $4 exactly. So that's what we're looking at. The 20% markup was $4. All right, so that means the total amount that I'm going to charge her is going to be for $24. Okay, I'm going to click OK, and then now it has placed all the information here on the form here, and it has in details of what was there, what markup I had, and etc. etc. So here I'm on her form. It's going to say I'm going to charge her for the full $24. And the date's fine. Invoice should be fine. Yeah. So here I'm going to go ahead and be courteous and say thank you for your business. And then I'm going to go ahead and bill her for reimbursement charge for document delivery. Yeah, I don't know. You can make whatever you want up. All right, so now that I validated, say I spent $20, but I'm charging her to pay me back at least $24. So I'm profiting $4 out of it. Save and close. Okay? And that's how you pay an expense in advance. And then you're going to assign it to a specific person so they reimburse you for that expense, and then you can mark their price value up for that. So that's exactly what this chapter is about, is pretty much reimbursing, whether it's time, whether it's mileage, whether it's an item that you purchase for this person. So that's exactly what this chapter is about, and it only applies to you again if you have those kind of expenses that need to be reimbursed for. It doesn't really do much if you don't need it. Again, it's just another way to be able to categorize your expenses, and instead of having to bill somebody or having to make all these expenses and then apply it to the actual sales percentage, you could just go ahead and send it right directly to the customer and say, well, you wanted a document charge, so here is what my price is. So that's all that this really is. Okay? So now that we got to take a look at the expenses tab, is there any other questions here for this particular section?
No, I have nothing right now.
Okay.
No, I'm good.
Okay. So again, I mean, that's what I said. I think this is it's filler. So here we're going to be looking at our accounts, and just to make sure that we have tracking available. So or when we're dealing with reimbursable expense accounts, you want to make sure that everything looks good, and your preferences is that if you plan on charging one customer 20%, then you want to make sure that it's universal to all. So in order to do that, right, you're going to go to your edit preferences, and you're going to go to time and billing. So it's going to be all the way at the bottom. Time and expenses. You're going to click your company preferences, and then we're going to look at it carefully. So we haven't talked about time yet, but this is how you toggle whether you want to keep track of time or not. So this is going to be relevant in the next couple of sections when we move through the exact tabs that we have in our reimbursable window. Okay, so here, time, yes, it's on right now, so that means we can at least keep track of time. Other things that we want to look at is going to be looking at what happens when we invoice our customers, right? We have the choice to either invoice them with a markup percentage. So here we already assume that no matter what it is, our markup value is 20%. Okay, and it's automatically going to go to expense markup, regardless of whatever our expenses are. Now, when we have that option, right, you do also have the option when you actually either bill somebody or invoice somebody to either select whether it's billable or not, whether you want to assign it to a specific person or not. So that's what this portion is it's just saying, do you want to keep track of all of your reimbursable expenses as income? And in this case, so think about it. If you paid the express delivery services, that's a cost to you. That's an expense to you. However, when you charged Miranda's Corner, are you going to consider that as an expense to you? No, of course not. It's going to be considered income to you because you're charging somebody money, but you're also charging them more than what it's actually worth. So in this case, that's going to be considered an income, right? It's another source of income or other income, and it is also known as you're marking it up, so you're getting a profit off of it anyways because it covered your expenses, your original expenses, and you got actually money out of it. Okay, so then again, mark all expenses as billable. Okay, usually if you mark them billable, then they're going to be assumed that it's billable. But if you actually uncheck this and you assign somebody, then it's going to give you the option, is it billable or is it not billable, right? It's going to automatically check it for you. But if you unselect this, that means you have to check it, mark it every single time if it's something that you are truly going to pass along and send it to someone else to reimburse for. In this case, I'd rather be safe than sorry to not have to remember another step. So I'm going to make sure that this is definitely marked all expenses as billable. Okay, so as I can see, everything looks just fine. Everything looks normal. So I can go ahead and click OK. So that's just turning on the fact that you have a billable option. Okay. Yes. All right.
Can I ask you a question?
Go for it.
There's one additional invoicing option that I guess is available on the 2018.
Yeah.
And it says create invoices from a list of time and expenses.
Say that
I
again.
just want to make sure we don't need to know that for any test stuff.
Can you repeat that again? Create.
Yeah, it says create invoices from a list of time and expenses.
And it's a check the box right there.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see it. Okay, so yeah, you guys have 3 options instead of 2. Let's see. Okay, when this box is
I think that's for the reimbursement one.
Papers. So it looks like maybe they don't check mark it.
Yeah, it's not marked off. I just want
That's how I want to make sure too.
okay, so okay. Hold on, let me sorry. So this one says check invoices from a list of time and expenses. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at our let's go ahead and take a look at example for the invoices. So when you actually create an invoice, right, at the very top of the window, it allows you to add any reimbursable or any whatchamacallit, time and billing. Okay, so right here it says add any time/costs. So what that one says is when you create that reimbursable item, right, it's gonna automatically invoice them from that list of people. Okay, so again, when I click that, there's no you must enter a customer name first. So again, this is what it's talking about. It's talking about pretty much when you have those reimbursable things, because you are listing particular people in them. It's just saying, are you going to automatically invoice them? So it says like this, that's why it says check to create any invoices for those people on the list for those either time or reimbursable bills. So, or reimbursable expenses. So this one, that's just if you do check mark that, it's going to just basically just automatically do it for you. But in this kind of sense, the reason that it's not very commonly used, again, so then again, reimbursable expenses, right? It's not for every company, and not every company is going to use it. That's why they gave you that option to check mark. Well, are you going to invoice everybody automatically? And in this case, you know, we're assuming that for my company, right? This company here, we do have that kind of thing. But when it comes to, like, for example, Coffee Cafe, do we have expenses that we can assign to particular customers? So that's what that little section is. It's going to just create an invoice if you do apply one of those time and billable things. But in this case, you know, it doesn't apply to every single company. So if you do check mark it, then it's going to automatically create an invoice when you enter in your when you're assigning your customer slash job to a particular customer. Okay. Okay. All right. Any other questions?
No.
So, and then pretty much, if you could just go ahead and keep reading, it just pretty much says that you can actually take a look at how it affects your profit and loss. Because again, your profit and loss is consisting every income account and every expense account. So you can keep track of it that way as well if you want to keep track of all your reimbursable expenses, right? Because we tagged the reimbursable expense as an income account. So every time we get reimbursed for something, it's going to be automatically associated as income to us. Okay. So that's actually what the next section was supposed to be talking to you about, is the actual account that we're using, right? The reimbursable account, is it truly linked as an income account? Well, let's go ahead and find out. So here I go to my chart of accounts. I'm going to go all the way down. Well, actually, no, I'm going to search it. Okay. We're going to research it as RIMB. Here we are. We got two accounts as I see here. One is income and one is an expense account. So we have one account using the expense reimbursed, and then we have reimbursable expenses. So one of them is an expense and the other one is an income account. So this is what's going to happen every time we utilize our accounts, right? If we need to pay something in advance, then we use the reimbursable expense account, okay? But when we charge our customers, right, we're going to say it's going to be an expense that's been reimbursed. And that's going to be our income. As we can see here, we don't need to edit the account because it's pretty straightforward that it is an income account. Now, they do say that you're going to combine it, but it's okay. I think it's better if we just keep them separate for now, just so then you can keep track of it a little better instead of using it for one account. And then plus, they already set it up for you as two accounts anyway. But it does tell you, like, if you'd want to, you can edit the account to change it so then it's both an expense and an income account. But that's okay. I'm just going to leave it. That's something, again, we talked about merging accounts. Nothing new there. Just understand that there are two accounts that are separated here. And in this example, one of them is for you to go ahead and create those expenses or pay the person in advance. And then you're going to get reimbursed through by charging your customers. Okay? Okay. Let's see. Okay, so we're good on time. Okay, so the next section here is going to be looking at how to use a two-sided item. So again, this is what the item we can use to link up two or more accounts to this specific item. Okay, so particularly you can use this to keep track of your expenses and your income. We've seen examples of this before. In chapter 7, when we actually set up our income, our items, right? When we set up a inventory part or a service item, you're automatically linking your revenues and your cost of goods sold in one item. So you're already using a two-sided item already by making a sale of an item or by creating the item itself, and you're utilizing it as both as an income and an expense account, item. Okay, so here we're just going to take a look at this. We're going to look at this example that we're going to create something. But generally, rule of thumb, when you use two-sided items, it's generally for these three scenarios. Okay, so we already looked at one, right? We looked at reimbursable. We got to look at reimbursable expenses. So, okay, we looked at reimbursable expenses already. The next one is going to be when we actually purchase items for our customer. Yes, you can go ahead and create an item for our particular customer because you're purchasing it for them. So the what they're using you as is you're the middleman. You're gonna get something done for them, and so you're gonna order the part for them, and then you get to charge them however you want to because they're using you to buy a particular product for them. So you can go ahead and do that. That's one of the one of the things that you can do is you can assign items to particular people if you're making a custom order for a specific person. Okay. And then lastly, you can also use it for subcontractor expenses. So we'll get to take a look at the next two examples in the next section here. But for reimbursable expenses, we've already took a look at an example, right? The example we used was, in fact, instead of using the item itself, which is what they're talking about, so you can create a two-sided item. So instead of having using the accounts itself, you can just use that particular item, and it will transfer over, Okay, so instead of having to use the accounts, you can use the reimbursable item to do the reimbursable expenses. Okay, but in this case, I showed you an example of how to use the accounts itself. But again, you can create a two-sided item. So instead of having too many accounts, having too many things, you can just, make it easier and just use one item. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the second here. The second section here was making a custom part item for our particular customer. So first, let's go ahead and start by making a custom order, right? In order to do that, we got to make a custom item. So again, we're going to go to our we can go ahead and go to our items and services, okay? And we're going to create our custom camera item. Okay, so new, and it is going to be a non-inventory part because we don't keep track of custom orders as often. It's not particularly an inventory that we sell on a daily. Okay, so what this is this is going to be a custom camera. Okay, custom camera. Now the next thing it tells you is that you do want to make sure that this is going to be part of an assembly item. So once you click that, now it expands out and it drops down another section for the cost of goods sold, and it gives you that small section where for the cost of goods sold. So here it's going to ask you what the description is. The description is it's going to be custom camera. Okay. All right. So now it's going to ask us to link how much it's going to cost us and how much we're going to plan to sell it for. Now, these ones we're going to leave blank because, a custom camera, right? Since it's going to be based on how many parts or what what features it has, or if it comes with attachments or anything like that. So the price of it that's going to cost you will vary, right? And then of course how you're going to mark the price off is going to be based on exactly like if it's going to cost you whatever, and if you're going to mark it up 20%, well, then if we don't know what the actual price is, you can't put a title, or you can't put a specific number for the actual price that you're going to sell it for, because you don't know how much it's going to cost you. So those ones we're going to leave blank. All right. And then for the expense account, again, it will be cost of goods sold, because this is going to be the regular account where this is us just utilizing this item, okay, so we can pass the bill along to our customers. And then the preferred vendor is going to be A Supply. You can get if a custom camera is going to be built by somebody else, yes, then you don't have to fill this part in. But in this case, the example says that it is going to be for A Supply. Okay, and then again, we're going to go ahead and leave that sales price blank, because we don't know how much our camera is going to cost us, but we know we are for sure going to charge tax on it. Okay, and then of course the income account is going to be sales. Okay, once this looks good, we're going to go ahead and click OK, and now we have that custom camera item available. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and make a purchase order. Yes? What did I put? Oh, okay, thank you. I thought I put cost of goods sold, but I didn't. Okay. Cost. There you go. Cost of goods sold. Thank you. So cost of goods sold. And I click OK. Yes. Okay, so my custom camera now is complete. So now I can go ahead and proceed and go ahead and make my purchase order. Okay, so I go ahead and click my purchase orders, and I'm going to order from A Supply. Okay, I think this is a Walnut Creek location. The date, is it February?
3rd.
Okay, so it's still 3rd. All right, and then this is, I'm going to go ahead and say 2019-101. Okay. So now it's going to ask me for what kind of item am I going to purchase. I'm going to do a custom camera. Okay. And how many am I going to get? I'm only going to get 1. Okay. And in this case, because we got to take a look at the catalog or whatnot, or the customer got to pick out the exact camera that they want to purchase or whatever it is, I'm going to recognize that this amount is going to be, okay, so the amount is going to be for $498.
300.
I'm sorry. $398. Okay. So $398 for just that one item. And then you have this little customer tab right here. You can, if you want to, put the customer name in here. But in this case, you don't do it yet, because this item will reach to him eventually when you receive the bill. Okay, so when you receive the bill, that's where you go ahead and link that this belongs to a particular customer. But for the purchase order, no, you don't have to do it. It's not mandatory to do it here, because right now you're just in the purchase order section. Okay, you don't need to place anything in there. Okay. Okay, you only do it when the bill arrives. So once everything looks good, right, and your window matches your window matches the picture on there, that's when we're going to go ahead and click OK and proceed to the next portion. Okay, so everything looks good. Save and close. Okay. Now this is where it's going to happen, where we actually receive the item. So I'm going to go ahead and click this, but this time I'm actually going to receive it with a bill. So I accidentally, okay, there you go. So of course I'm gonna go ahead and place Mr. Ace Supply here. And what's gonna happen is now it says, whoa, you have an open invoice, or I'm sorry, an open purchase order for this particular vendor. I'm gonna go ahead and click yes, and I'm gonna pick up this 2019-101 purchase order, which was the custom camera, and I'm gonna go ahead and click OK. It fills in the information here already for you. Now, this is the particular place where you're gonna go ahead and fill in the information, right? You're gonna fill in that this is a custom camera for Maria Cruz branch opening. Okay. Once you have that, of course, we're gonna change the date, of course, because this is going to be, what day is it on the form?
The third again.
Oh, okay, I guess same day.
Yep.
Okay. Reference number, it's up to you. You could either use the purchase order number or you could use a bill number. I'm going to go at whatever's on the actual form itself. Is there one already there?
It says 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, well, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and then of course it's billed for this amount. Okay, now the 2% net 10 or net 30. That's on our side because we made this purchase in advance. Now, if Miss Maria Cruz does not reimburse us in time, it doesn't matter because I don't have to tell her that I took advantage and I paid for it in advance. Right? I took a discount. They don't know that the camera's going to cost me $400 and I'm charging her an additional for it. So this is going to be dealing with me and me only. Okay? But what I can do is I can pass this bill along, right? So then Miss Maria Cruz can pay for it. All right? So Maria Cruz branch opening. Okay, and it's automatically clicked as or a checked mark as billable. Walnut Creek, and it's for this purchase order for this number. Okay, now that I got this all done, I'm gonna go ahead and click save and close. Okay, so now that that is there, now the next part is when I start creating my invoice and I actually charge Miss Maria Cruz, right? And I do branch opening. Now it's saying you have another billable expense item available. And I'm going to click OK. So this time, instead of looking at time or expenses or mileage, we're going to go all the way to the end and go to items. So here, it shows up that I have this item right here for the custom camera. Now notice this. This window doesn't allow me to mark up the price. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So now it shows me that they're going to charge me for the amount of the $398. But I say, hold up, I don't want to place it as this much amount. I'm going to mark it up because I say I can, right? They're utilizing me, so I'm going to charge them for a convenience fee, and I'm going to mark their price up by 20%. So by doing so, I can just go ahead and actually click up the price, right? Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and press my little asterisk key to bring up my little receipt tape. So this is called the quick math. We looked at it before. So now I'm going to charge them 1.20. So that's going to be 1 times plus 20% markup. And if I press enter, there you go. I'm going to charge her $477.60 for this camera. So I got a huge profit here. So 2019-101, because that's what the PO number is. Okay. Dates is the same because we received the items on the same day. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and say thank you for your business. And then I'm going to go ahead and write here, custom camera. Okay. Okay. Contra Costa should be fine. I think that's fine. It's unless it's Santa Clara. If it's Walnut Creek, then it's a Santa Clara. Walnut Creek. And this is supposed to be, let me see, this is Maria. So hers should be set to whatever it is, so Contra Costa. So there you go. They charged her additional $39 for tax. So you're getting a whopping $517. Okay. Of course, with the time now, probably the taxes all changed and whatnot, but this should look correct. All right, everything looks good. We charged her. Okay, so for when you charge items, because there's no actual price point, you're going to have to actually manually mark up the price. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click Save and Close. And boom. That's how you create a custom item and you use it and you send it to someone else and mark up the price for it. So that's doing business for you. All right. Any questions on how to do a reimbursable item or using a two-sided item in this case?
No, nothing now.
Okay. All right. Okay, so we have 20 minutes to do the next one. So the next one is going to be looking at how to use the two-sided items for when you're having a service or a subcontractor complete the task for you. So again, we are at Academy Photography. So again, our photographers are not our own employees. They're actually independent contractors, okay? So by doing that, okay, let's see how we can assign a person for a specific job that they have to do and how they can get reimbursed for it. So we're going to go ahead and create another item. But actually, no, this item already exists, I believe so. But let's go ahead and check to see it just to make sure that it is still there and make sure that the information on that item is also correct. So I go to my items and services. I go locate my photographer. Okay, so photographer, photo paper. Okay. That's for touching photographer. Okay. I'm going to double click on it to open up my window, and I'm going to make sure that all this stuff is correct. And actually, my preferred vendor is actually going to be, I think it's East Bay, if I'm not mistaken. East Bay photographers. Okay, so here we're contracted with East Bay. Now, the price that they want for their service is only $75. But what I'm going to charge, because I want to make a profit out of it too, is I'm going to charge anybody that uses or that wants this particular photographer to be an additional what is that, $50. So I'm marking my price to cover not only my cost to contact them, to get them to, whatever's in my contract with them, right? And having to, assign a group to them, a task to them, or, there's lots of reasons why we mark up our price. But they only cost me $75. So I just want to make sure that's true, and then make sure that it does say East Bay photographers, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and click OK. All right, so now that I'm making sure that the photographer item is in fact there, what I'm going to do is now I'm going to go ahead and, I can't remember if I create a bill or I actually write them a check. Let's see. Okay, so we are going to be billing them for East Bay, and we're going to do it for the photographers, okay? And it is 15 photographers. Wait, hold on. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look, and then we'll go ahead and compare our screens from there. So we are entering a bill. So this is them billing us for the service that they've completed. So again, we're going to place in East Bay. Okay. And now we can go ahead and list the items here. So now here's where I have to go ahead and make sure that you guys are clear. For if you're on the expenses tab, if you're under the expenses tab, it's going to be considered items. I mean, you're going to be only be able to use accounts. Okay. But because we're dealing with a particular item, we need to go ahead and click on the items tab, and it will go ahead and allow us to place items here. Okay, so make sure that you know that the difference between the expenses tab is you're only dealing with accounts at large, and then the items tab is dealing with your actual items. Okay, so here, if a look on the page here, we have 2 of them are photographers. Okay. I can't even see what the first one says right there. I can't tell if that's a 0 or that's a 6 or 8.
I think it's, hold on, 5, isn't it? What's 5 times 75? Hang on.
Okay, well, we could do it here. Let's go ahead and test it. We could always test it. So they do the math for us.
Yeah, it's 6.
So we have 2 photographers. Okay. Reason why we have 2 photographers is because we're going to be assigning them to 2 different people. Okay. If they were all one person, or assigning it to all one person, then you only need to bill it for that one person. Okay. So quantity, what you said was 6 or 5?
It's 6.
6. So 6 giving us a total of $400, and then the other one was 15, which gave us 1,025. Now, which customers is which? So the first one we actually we have it for Maria Cruz branch opening, and the second one is for Mr. Bob Mason. So here we're gonna link that we're gonna have Maria Cruz branch opening pay for this one, and then we're gonna have Bob Mason pay for the other one. Okay, and they're both billable classes. I believe Maria is Walnut.
Yep.
And Mr. Bob is San Jose.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now everything looks good. This is a bill that we're placing in. When did we receive this bill?
The 3rd.
Okay, same thing, same day. And then, what's the reference number?
5678.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we're getting billed a grand total of the $1,575 in grand total. Okay, and we linked these to particular people. We said that, well, these customers are what I assigned these photographers to. And I'm going to go ahead and click Save and Close. Okay, so now the next step is, in order to activate that item or activate or bill our clients, right? You're going to do the same thing. You're going to go create an invoice. But this time I think we're doing Bob Mason. You can do Maria Cruz if you'd like. It's the same process, but I'm going to... Okay, no, we are doing Maria Cruz. Okay, fine. We'll do Maria Cruz. Okay. You can use it on the homepage invoice, and we're going to do Maria Cruz.
Okay.
Branch opening, and then again you get that same exact window. You're going to click OK, but this time it's going to be under items, and here you have the photographer. So I'm going to go ahead and select that, and I'm going to click OK, because we marked up our price already. We don't need to deal with anything else here. We don't need to mark it up, because it only costs us $75 to have a photographer there. I already am charging Maria Cruz on top of that already. I'm already charging her additional $50 per photographer. So here, it's already charged and calculated for me with the addition of that extra markup value. So again, everything looks good. I'm going to go ahead and click thank you for your business. And then I'm going to go ahead and write, what was it, 6 photographers.
Yeah.
For branch opening. Okay. And I could go ahead, click save and close. Okay. So that's how we're dealing with items when it comes to tracking our reimbursable expenses, etc., etc. Okay. Again, we'll talk about reports towards the end. So right now, it is exactly 2:32. I'm gonna call break now. Is it too early, Michelle, or can you go now?
No, my kids don't get out of school. Like the bell doesn't ring till 2:45.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well, okay. I guess I could talk about billable time right now, and then I'll let you go at 2:45. 2:40, 2:45.
2:40 is good because then I can be there when the bell rings.
Perfect. Okay. So, billable time. Okay. So, any questions in regards to making those reimbursable items or expenses?
No.
No, I have nothing.
Okay. So again, when we look at that reimbursable set window, right, we have 4 options. We're not going to talk about mileage because it's pretty straightforward, right? If your employee is going to come up to you and give you all the receipts, so you're going to pretty much utilize that and go ahead and pretty much enter it in the same exact way how we've been doing the expenses and the items. Now, this one is going to be a very crucial point. So this is the one that I actually want to talk to you guys mostly about because this does pertain in keeping track of time. And this is very useful, especially when you are having employees, right? If they are an hourly wage type of employee, they're not salary based, this is perfect because they can use their timesheets to be a clock in, clock out kind of window. But for this particular example in Academy Photography, my employees, they are paid by the hour based on the job that they complete. Because my employees, right, I have one for sure full-time photographer, and then the rest are all independent contractors. Okay, usually the independent contractors are more for like the bigger events, right? In this scenario, but my one employee is there to be the main person or the main photographer that takes majority of the photos. Okay, so that's what you can do here is that you can keep track of their time and or when they submit a timesheet to you, you can take that timesheet and you can bill it to those customers because again, it's based on the time that they're requested, right? A photo session is 1 hour long. Well, what does a photo session entail? Not only is the time spent to take the photos, you also need to pay for the photographer itself. Okay? If there's retouching stuff in there, then you have to pay for them as well. So that's what this is for this particular example, is that we're going to use billable time for our employees that are that go out to these events and to actually take photos there. So, and then what we're going to do is we're going to pass the bill along and charge our customers for them. Okay? So let's go ahead and look at the first one. So again, we talked about activating time tracking in QuickBooks. So again, it's that same window where we go and we talk about going to the edit preferences, and then you're going to click the time and billing, and you're going to go to company. And the first thing it says here is, do you keep track of time? And we answered yes. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And what you're going to notice is that at the very bottom here, we have this section under the employees section. You have the little window that says you can either enter time. Okay, so this is where you're going to be looking at a time sheet. Now, if you hit that drop down menu, you have two options. You can either do a daily time sheet, so every day, or you can do a week to week basis. Now, there's no option where you can select, bi-weekly, because in this case, they want to try to make sure that if you are utilizing this feature, that you have your employees keep track of their time at least, every week, okay? Even if you're on a bi-weekly payroll period, this is just so then, they don't, they don't forget, or they're like, oh, I don't know, so I'm just going to put something in there. No, it's best that they try to, they do this for a reason, so then they can try to enter in their information and get paid on time, okay? But you can also do it as a single day. So you can do it every day. Usually that is great. That is very easy to do. But again, if you are one of those kind of busy people who never see the day of light, or never seem to get a catch of breath, doing this every day is not something that can be done. But you do have the option for that. Yes.
We have one more in the version we're using. It's called Activate T Sheets.
Activate T Sheets.
There's a capital T and then the word sheets right after it. So we have three options. You have two.
Okay, so the reason being is because you're under the accountant mode. Remember, you guys downloaded QuickBooks Accountant.
Do we need to know what Activate T Sheets is, or is it something that's irrelevant to us because we're in accountant?
As far as right now, if it doesn't say in the book, then you don't need to worry anything about it. T Sheets, Activate T Sheets. So it's basically activating your timesheet. Okay. But as far as the...
Sorry.
No worries. Okay, so... what were we talking about? Okay, so activating the time. So of course, like if you do have employees that are on a hourly wage, you should definitely use this so that they can record their time. Okay. Now there's no punch in clock system, so unfortunately you're not able to do that on here. So it's not like you could go into here and just punch in your time and then you can go out. No. If you want a punch in clock, it's going to have to be a completely different, separate system. But entering the timesheet, which we'll talk about again in, not tomorrow, but the day after, actually next week. When we talk about that, that's when we can utilize the timesheet to go ahead and process our payroll system. Okay? Yeah. So before we can go into the next, example, I'm going to go ahead and stop here because it's exactly 2:40. So we'll continue on our example when we come back from the break.
Okay.
All right.